have the option of using. Biomass is pretty much anything that is your garbage. It can be dead living things that died recently, or it can be just like rubber and other such objects. Biomass is extremely easy to obtain, it's very abundant, and it actually causes more problems not to get rid of it since it just fills up land masses or gets in the way. The basics of biomass is pretty much you take what people have thrown in the garbage and you pick it up, you load it onto trucks, and you take it to a factory plant where it will be processed. There are two different types of processing. You can process it as a solid or a fuel. As I said before, there are two different processes. There is solid processing, which is pretty much you load the truck with the stuff from the garbage or a farm's dead crops, then you take it to the factory, dump it into a shack, and set it on fire. The burning material creates heat, which then heats up water, which causes steam, which turns the turbine, which turns the generator, which makes your energy. Yay! It's probably one of the most basic processing that you can do with biomass.
Many household materials can be burned and turned into energy, such as wood or charcoal, compost, and manure. Wood is most commonly used throughout the world because it is available to many and produces heat and electricity. Composting materials, decayed plant or food products mixed together in a compost pile and spread to help plants grow. This can also be burned for energy. Manure is rarely used for heating, but it is more common in developing countries where resources are scarce and expensive. Many farmers use the waste from their animals to produce energy. As stated before, solid biomass can be burned for energy to be used for heat or electricity. If it is being burned for electricity, the smoke from the burned matter is filtered through water and turned into steam. This steam spins a turbine, which then spins a generator, which produces an electrical field. Materials need only to be burned to give off heat. Here are some advantages of solid biomass. Here are some disadvantages to solid biomass. Some of the following are released into the air when biomass is burned.
Biodiesel is a domestically produced, renewable fuel that can be manufactured from vegetable oils, animal fats, or recycled restaurant grease. Ethanol is a renewable fuel made from corn and other plant materials. The use of ethanol is widespread because all gasoline in the U.S. contains some blend of ethanol.
The second use of biomass is to make biofuels, which is a much more complex processing process than making solid biomass. It involves three steps, which one is converting, which is when you take the whatever you brought in, pretty much the garbage or the plant mass, and you make the sugars more prominent and easier to yield. And then you go into fermentation, and this makes sure that you keep more sugars in the next step of processing and gets rid of any excess material. There are actually two different ways in which these three processes can be done. You can do it through the sugar platform, which is pretty much what I just said. You use microorganisms to make the sugars more prominent and break them up so that they're easier to use and separate from things you don't want. And then there's the thermochemical process, which is when you use heat to do the exact same thing you do with the microorganisms.
Listed are some of the advantages of biodiesel and ethanol. Here are some disadvantages to biodiesel and ethanol. Biodiesel contains some pollutants, but most are used up in a negative feedback.